Well, hello. Well, I haven't done a Weoley Castle video in ages, but I thought what I'd do, I want to talk about the history and all the old shops what used to be here. Now, this Scrivens has been there for well over 40 years. It was there in the early 80s, probably about 79. And back then, the window used to be like the Harry Worth window when they used to put one leg in front of the window. If you're old enough, you'll remember. Just Google it. Right. Over there, that used to be the toy shop, and then it was a carpet shop, and now it's, well, it's had better days. And the Heavens, where the Heavens is over there, that was many shops. I remember it as a fine fair, and it's been, I think it's been different things. I was a solo, I think it was Summerfield in 2009, and briefly in the 10s was it was something else which I can't remember the name of it, but it wasn't very good. Evans is pretty good. Greg's used to be Bragg's. Where the nail bar is, that used to be a newsagent's, and both Card Factory and the nail bar both used to be the newsagents, but they used to do cards as well. Talking of the oldest shops, I suppose one of the old, there's not many shops which has been over 40 years, but the fish bar has been there for as long as I remember. Been there throughout the 80s and possibly late 70s. So that is probably one of the oldest shops. Pharmacy, that used to be Lloyd's. That used to be Fallon's, and they used to have, they were pretty much the same shop right until the end of the 20s, and they always had the old sign which was dues agent. Hair and Beauty, that was a butcher's at one time, one stage, and Can Nation was a Halifax. And up until last year, that was a charity shop. That's always been like a convenience shop from far as I can remember. Probably been through a few owners. Until last year, was it the year before, that used to be a key cutters right next to it. Not sure about every shop. But now, of course, until we all know that used to be a bank which was demolished at the start of this year and was empty until for the last few years, so sort of shame what happened there, really. That took me a bit of butchers for as long as I can remember. Now that was obviously the market hall until a couple of years ago. which in its latter years it wasn't as it used to be. But it had been the market hall since the 80s. And so one interesting bit of history I know from before my time. Hang on, I can't talk at the moment. Back in the 60s, that used to be a butcher's, and I believe the original butcher was actually killed there, which from what I've read online. That's been a William Hill for as far as I can remember, I believe, well over 40 years I think. I suppose, yeah, that where Betbury Chippy is, that used to be a bakery, the Dutch oven. That it was the baker's oven and then it was the Dutch oven. I'm not sure what way around it was, but it was a bakery. And I always used to bake the bread there. As you walk past, you could hear the smell of the bread being baked. We had the old that used to be like a grocer's over there. Up until like a decade ago, I think, it used to be a grocer's, and he had all the plants outside and stuff. It was even on Doctors once. I think it would have been 2009. I think the end shop. I think it was the end shop, but there used to be a hardware shop at the end. You can see War Hung, that has definitely been there since the 80s. The fried chicken place used to be a chip shop. I forget the name now. It was quite popular. Albright's has been there 40 years there, the opticians. And before Albright's was NSS News Agents. It's a crossover, shall we? Bit closer. Now, the Doctors, which you see there, used to be the way over there past the shops at Weoley Castle Road, and that was moved in the 2000. We used to have a nursery, I think, where that was. The library wasn't always there. The library used to be at the back of the shops over there somewhere. The the church there, that has been there decades. That's quite old now. And the oh, I see the name of it has changed slightly. It used to be Elim Church, but it's still a church. Don't you think they used to do a Sunday school from there? Anyway, oh, this phone's useful now. We've got a zoom on. As you can see, we've got a nail shop. That used to be, both of those shops was a barber's. Hair Razors has always been a barber's. And when I can remember, a chap called Alan used to run it. Alan's Gents hairstylist, until the current owner took over in 1997. And the wedding nail shop. Oh, that used to be a women's barber's, I think. And you see the calf. I'm not sure what used to be where the calf is. I can't remember. But obviously, we have Albrights there, which has been there for 40 years, and as I said, used to be an NSS newsagents. Wahung, definitely been there over 40 years, as far as I can remember. Can't remember everything. I think that used to be a bookies there where the mini market is, and there used to be a pet shop on the end as well, I think, which obviously moved. Now, bit of an update. Well, Castle Chemist used to be Boots until recently. Now we have a new shop opening, Neil Geary Express, which sounds like another convenience store, and you can guess the kind of people who will be setting up that. It's probably another kind of Bob shop or something like that. Vegetable garden there. Now we do have a crackhead problem on the square, and sometimes, particularly when you're over there, you can smell crack, basically. Vegetable garden. We used to have another vegetable shop over there somewhere, which closed down, I think. Can't pinpoint. I've got to say, this zoom function is very useful. Now, let's just zoom out a bit. Walk a bit far so we can see and cover some more shops. Not every shop, I don't know what used to be there, but the ones I know of I can talk about. Now, obviously these are local. That's the post office. That's always been a post office as far back as I remember. Now either side of it, Betfred and maybe Sabres as well. I think that may have been all in one shop. I can't remember. That used to be Lawrence's, and Lawrence's used to be like an old-fashioned 70s style clothes shop, and the fittings used to be like, "Are you being served?" And also we used to have Mr. Scoop on the side. And about over a decade ago, when that was been done up, the old sign from Lawrence, which said Lawrence's and Mr. Scoop, could be visible. Now, right next to the post office at the other side, that used to be college radio, and that was there up until the 90s, much like Lawrence's. And I can remember having my first video recorder, not the one we had downstairs, but the one I had in my room from college radio, which was bought just after Christmas '89. Smash and Grab opened mid-90s, I think, and that's been there good 30 years, and long may it stay there. As we move along, we come to another chemist, and that obviously, this was all one shop there. Little where it says the pharmacy and Little Tinkers, that was all one shop. And it was like, I think it was Bansall's Chemists. And back in the late 80s, early 90s, they used to do jukebox singles as well. Do you remember them? That was Bansall's Chemists. Castle Meats, that's always been a butcher's, as far as I remember. Well, as far as I remember, anyway, my lifetime. The pet shop, as I said, used to be right over there. The pet shop was actually featured in a comedy programme some years ago. A prank comedy programme. I can't remember the name of it, but it's on YouTube. And they used to do pranks, and a bloke walked into it, and he walked into the pet shop, and he laid down some like litter paper, and he like appeared to go to the toilet in the shop, and that was part of the prank, and obviously he was thrown out. Let's move on. Where we have Go Local Extra, that's always been a convenience shop, at least for what I remember from the 80s. I remember that being Lipton's at one stage, and it's been other names. I think it's been a Gateway. Well, back then, I first remember it as a Lipton's. Sadly, Car Spares closed down in 2000, and that's been empty ever since. That's been empty ever since. I think next to it we had the video shop, and that closed down sometime, possibly 2006, 2007 could have been closed down. Better time video that was. The flower shop has been there for a good 40 years or more, I think. Or was it a few? Yeah. As we move on, we find Knight's Opticians. Now, my first memories, that used to be a wool shop. It was a Peggy's wool shop, and then it changed to Jenny's. I think like the daughter took over or something when it was Jenny's, but that was a wool shop. Turkish style barber, I see we got there. That used to be a barber's, at least from the 90s onwards. It was that was a bar. Forget the name of it, but that used to be an English barber's in the 90s onwards. God, how many Turkish barbers are there around? Yeah, but the off license there, which has always been there. Was as long as I can remember. Probably changed hands a few times, but it's always been always been an off license. Let's zoom out a bit. We need to be moving on. Now, one last thing. We've already filmed this on a previous video, but as you go behind where the flower shop is, Buckets and Daisies, and you go up the path, that's where the Square Club was, which is just empty now. And you know, when I was in primary school, It was on every Wednesday night, and you used to do a disco and tuck shop, table tennis, and even a crafts class, and a lovely place back in the early 80s. And as I said before, we come to the nail and the card factory, which of course used to be the news agents. Not the shop where I ordered my comics back in the 80s, back in the day. That would have been Fallon's, but I did go there as well, and I think I bought my first American Marvel comic from there, which was, I believe, an Iron Man comic. And I think my second one was an Avengers, probably Avengers 231 or something like that. So I've got a bit of personal history as well from what it used to be. And I can remember going up to buy the UK version, Secret Wars 1, when it first came out from there. And as I bought it, was walking back, a chap spoke to me. They said, I used to buy those comics years ago. Yeah. Acorn's charity shop, that in the noughties, that was a vegetable shop. I'm not sure before that. I know it used to be a shoe shop in the early 90s, Marlow Shoe Centre. Greg's, there we go, used to be Bragg's. That was more like a cake shop before Greg's took it over. Heaven's, of course, Fine Fair, Solo, Budgeons, that's it was Budgeons for a while in the 10s, which wasn't a great shop really, but Heaven's is pretty good. And there we go. Toy shop, that was the toy shop on the end. And back in 1987 and 88 they used to sell records as well, singles, and I read a single from there actually. But it had two different owners. The owner before that used to be an old man, and he used to do bikes in the window, and I can just remember it. And he used to do all the old Play People sets. Remember before Playmobil used to be called Play People in this country, and he used to do all them sets, and the Lone Ranger. I remember him doing Action Jacks, and they're the Corgi cars, and they used to be like the Corgi cars used to be on the spindle wheel. Well, I hope you're enjoying this history lesson. I haven't done this in a while. Well, I think we covered all the square now. We've done it all. There you go. What a sad loss the bank was. Pushing out all online. 90 odd year building and closed out and demolished. What a sad loss. Even the market hall. I mean, the market hall was a shadow of its former self, but I think that could have been brought back to what it was. We've had many different bus services across the square over the years. We've always had the 21. We did have the X64 after the original 21 was stopped. So between about 2010 and 2018 we had the X64, and then they brought back the 21 as the X21 in 2018, and it's been like that. But we've also the Northfield bus used to be the 29, and we could, and that used to go to Northfield, and that obviously that all changed. And all the routes slightly changed because the 21 just goes down there now, and it used to go round, and the 21 used to go right up Weoley Castle Road and up there, which I think that was a better route, so that's a shame. We also used to have the 69, which used to go to King's Heath, and was it Solihull? I can't remember. There's a quick pan round. Yeah, dear. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this history lesson on the square. I've covered as many things as I think I can. Oh, there is just one thing. Where we're standing on the island, years ago there used to be all prefabs here, which I think kind of the prefabs were taken away in the early 80s sometime. And I can remember when I was in primary school, we actually planted trees on this island. Don't know which, remember that. And also we used to have carnivals as well back in the day as well, and there had been a carnival for years. I think they had a couple of carnivals in the 10s, but not for years. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this history lesson, the span round. I think I'm going to press stop. I've covered everything, I think. Thank you for watching.